There we go. All right. Well, welcome everybody to our first, Facebook and YouTube live stream. Of course, my name is James Barnes with Summit Mentorship, and this is finally here. It's finally here, guys. It is 2021. Thank goodness. Let's all real quick do a quick prayer and just pray this is going to be a much better year than 2020. Though as I'm saying that, I'm starting to realize how low of a bar that really might be. So, we are going to be talking about something special today. We're actually be talking about that very thing of New Year's resolutions, right? It is the beginning of 2021. And like always, everyone has this intention on setting up new resolutions that help improve either life, either maybe it might be business related, maybe it's more personal related. And like I can see every single year, I'll go to the gym at 5 a.m. right now, and right now the gyms are packed. Even at 5 a.m., there's more people there than I've ever seen before. Yet I know in about 2 more weeks, that place will be empty. It'll be my place all over again. Because let's face it, a lot of us have a hard time maybe when it comes to setting our resolutions. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that. Now, before we get started, again, this is our first major live stream on Facebook as well as YouTube. If you are watching on any of these platforms, please feel free to type in the chat. We think we got everything sorted out for Facebook chat as well. So feel free to put any questions in there. We'll try our best to answer everyone we can. But joining me as always is of course Stacy, and we have Dr. Billy Nail. I just kind of want to jump a little bit into this because let's face it, like I said before, a lot of people set up New Year's resolutions. Very few people actually seem to follow through with their resolutions. Tell me, are resolutions even worth it at this point, or are they kind of just something that we just tell ourselves to make ourselves feel better, I guess?
I think resolutions have just they've kind of lost their meaning. People, they don't understand that part of the word is resolve, and there's not a lot of resolve in it if most of them are completed and done away with before the first month of the year even completes itself. So by the end of January, most people have abandoned the resolutions. Yeah. So Billy was saying that that there's a reason why. They don't know the real reason why they want it. And I said there's a couple of things. They lack clarity on what they really want. And so there's a lack of clarity. And sometimes that's the hardest question to ask yourself, is decide, what do I really want? Where do I want to be in 12 months? Who do I want to be with? What I want to be doing? What I want to have at the same time? And without the clarity, man, it's really hard. And so what we end up doing is we end up setting these resolutions and goals based on what we think we need, or based on what we think someone else wants us to say, or what society or the world at large wants us to say, or it's just not truly what we desire. And James, we've studied Think and Grow Rich together a lot, and we talked a lot about that burning desire. Without the burning desire backed by why is this really important, it's really hard to stay motivated to accomplish a resolution. So I think without that clarity, and people just come in, it's not really they're not resolved. It's not a true resolution. It's more of a wish.
I think you're right. I think based on what we were just talking about, really, to keep resolutions, there's 2 questions you have to be able to answer clearly, and that is the what. What do I really want? That's what you were talking about, Stacy. And then the second question is why? Why do I want to set this resolution? Why do I want to reach these goals? And until you have those 2 questions answered clearly, your resolution will not last. You will be out of it by the end of the month.
Yeah, and I have to say, I think my opinion on resolutions has kind of changed over the years. I know earlier on, I used to always think that resolutions were, it was kind of just a way for people to make themselves feel better because they really knew, of course, they were not going to actually follow through. It made themselves kind of ignore some of the mistakes that they had in the past. However, at this point, my opinion's kind of changed a little bit on the idea of resolutions. Yeah, I think it can be either or. So it's kind of that glass half empty, or is the glass half full, right? So the glass half empty idea on the resolutions is more on the idea of, again, they're worthless, right? It just wishes. They're wishes, they're wishes, they're wishes. There's nothing behind them. There's nothing we can really work with here. No one's ever going to really follow through with them, so what's the point in the first place? However, the glass half full approach, I think, is this is one point of the year where everyone around the world, no matter about who you are, it's actually one point where I think people are actually somewhat brutally honest with themselves, right? So someone will say, I am out of shape. I need to work out. I need to be healthy. This is something that normally throughout the rest of the year they put to the back of their head and really don't care about. But that one point of the year, they'll always go, you know what? I need to be honest with myself. This is my issue. Now, the problem from there, of course, is how long does that continue, right? How long does that motivation, last? And of course, something I've said countless times, I think on Summit as well as any presentation I've ever given is, amateurs are motivated, but professionals are dedicated, right? We can all be motivated on that 1st of January, but few people are kind of dedicated to the task at hand. But I do think there's something there in the sense of it is one time of the year where everyone seems to actually be somewhat honest with themselves, which, let's be honest, in this day and age isn't really that common anymore. A lot of people try to hide so many of their own issues and try to make excuse after excuse after excuse. But New Year's does seems to be one of those times where people actually will take a real accounting of a lot of things in their life. With that said, you touched on a little bit before there, Stacy, but what were, I guess, some of the big issues you traditionally see people, like, why don't they ever just follow through? What keeps them from being dedicated? I know you mentioned the why, but I guess you want to kind of elaborate a bit more on that because, again, so many people have these, but let's face it, maybe about 2% of them are actually going to follow through.
So, first and foremost, just for the record, I did eat the black-eyed peas and collard greens this year. So if 2021 goes bad, it's not my fault. I did my part. So in addition to setting goals, I did my part for the good luck. But I'll tell you, it starts with a mindset. And so you just said that for a brief moment, we're honest with ourselves. For a brief moment, it comes into our awareness that there's something about me or something about my life that needs to change. Is the moment that thought goes into our brains, the moment it comes into our awareness, those belief systems that we've got built in deep inside of us start to kick in, and they tell you why it's not going to happen, why you can't do it, why you don't deserve it, and it just completely takes you off of your kilter. So just like everything else in my life, when it comes to setting goals or I should say achieving goals and resolutions, the biggest obstacle that I have is me. And we have to overcome what happens because you maybe you sit there and you say, I've really got to get more healthy. And you even know why. I've got to do this for my family. As soon as that gets into your awareness, you're going to immediately be hit from the other side of your subconscious telling you why you can't do it. And this isn't for you. What if this happens? What if that happens? You probably should start Monday when things are going to be better. You've got this going on at work. The timing's not right. You're going to get a million reasons inside of your head, almost in the flash of a moment, of why you can't do whatever this is. You have to fight through that. And so without the clarity of what you want, without knowing really why, and the why, what that should do is turn this into that all-consuming burning desire that I can't live without this. I can't live any other way. It's kind of one of those moments where you say never again. And unless you have a true never again moment, man, it's really hard. It's got to start with that mindset and overcoming those deep-seated belief systems that we all have that hold us back.
Yeah, I think it has to do with passion. You've got to find a way to get passionate about it. And you've got to look at, again, going back to the why. I think that the why fuels the passion. What happens is a lot of people will fuel that passion. It will get ignited, but if they don't do anything to keep that passion aflame, they'll let the fire go out. And I think that's where the hard work of, okay, we've answered the question, what do I want? We need to make sure we're clear about that. We've got to ask why. But then the next question that we got to ask is how? How do I keep the passion alive? How do I achieve this resolution? Because I think a lot of people, they say, hey, I want to lose weight, or I want to get healthy, or I want to spend more time with my family. But then they don't do the hard work of okay, how do I do this? What steps do I actually need to take, and actually put it down in writing, and so they can see this is what I need to do. This is how I need to do it. I need to put this on my calendar. I need to put this on my schedule. I need to get up at 30 minutes earlier every day, or go to bed 30 minutes later. Whatever they need to do, people don't take the time to actually put a plan of action down so that every day they can see that. And so they know the what, the why, but if they don't also do the how, then that resolution's not going to succeed. Does that make sense?
It does. And sometimes words like plan of action kind of scare people away. I think it's important to understand a plan of action might just be one small thing that you do different today and tomorrow than you did yesterday.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be like a 14-point vetted plan that's going to pass through some committee. This is just, I do something today that I didn't do yesterday that's going to get me closer to who I want to become.
Yeah, it really, most of the time, it's just very small, simple things that you can do, something you can change, about in your habits. And it can be something as simple as, I need to get up 30 minutes. I want to grow more this year. It could be something as simple as getting up 30 minutes earlier and spending that 30 minutes reading a book, reading a chapter or whatever. And that's something that can be done very simply, but as Darren Hardy writes, that compound effect makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and I think it's also worth mentioning. I like how you mentioned, of course, that how factor too. But a lot of people, let's face it, they don't have that much experience, especially a lot of people, I'll admit, in my generation who, unfortunately, very few were actually really taught, okay, so how do you challenge adversity, right? How do you overcome any form of adversity? And without that style of discipline, without any form of discipline, it's not even so much of maybe someone doesn't know this needs to be done or I should be doing it or here's how I should do it. Sometimes it's just that sheer fact of they don't have it sounds weird to say, but the discipline of discipline, right? They don't know really how to stay dedicated to a task. Their mind wanders too much. They let too much outside thoughts come in, like you were mentioning before. And because of that, they really just... the task that they had at mind, it could be almost any task, but they're almost bound to fail just because they have not built up an idea of discipline in their lives to be able to start overcoming some of these hurdles.
So the largest gap, and I think it was John Maxwell that said this, but he said the largest gap in all of humanity is the gap between knowing what to do and actually doing it. Because a lot of times we know what to do, and I think you're right, James. There's just a lack of discipline to continue to do it enough times to where it becomes a habit, right? Where it becomes part of who we are. You don't run a marathon to finish the marathon. You run a marathon to become a runner, right? And to become someone who can, to become the type of person who can complete the marathon. That's what's most important. It's who you become, not what you get. And it's hard to keep that in sight. And so when you said, how do you teach someone who maybe doesn't understand discipline? You have to teach, you start small and you start very small. And you make it easy for yourself. So we've had a couple of videos where we've talked about environment. You make your environment conducive to whatever it is. Let's keep on this whole idea of losing weight and exercise. And you have your stuff laid out. So it's very easy for you in the morning. You don't have to search for it. You make sure that when that alarm clock goes off, you just get up. And once you get up and take that first step, the rest of it seems easy, but you have to find what those triggers are. And then you start to stack onto what your current triggers are. So you do a baseline of what your current get up routine is. You insert a few things to make it easier to do something different. And then you just consistently do something different. And Billy, you said an important thing. You said, write it down. Right now, a resolution or a goal is just something that's ethereal. It's way up in here. When you write it down, that's the first physical manifestation of actually achieving the goal. You're writing it down. It's something that's showing you that, hey, this is something that I can do. And so this is a very important step. So we determine what we want. We write it down, and then we start to change our life in a way that makes it simple to do small, gradual steps to get that compound effect rolling.
Absolutely. And the key to writing it down is not only just writing it down, but you've got to put it somewhere where you see it every day. You've got to put it somewhere where every day you're looking at those resolutions and those goals, so that it is a constant reminder of what I am trying to achieve, what I am trying to accomplish. And that is a good, and I think you're exactly right as well when you talked about the environment. I mean, it's doing those little things to get rid of distractions. I think one of the biggest hindrances that I have found in not fulfilling a goal or a resolution or accomplishing that task I need to do today to fulfill that resolution is I let something distract me. So if I'm in the habit, for example, of, wanting to pick up the phone and check social media or Twitter or whatever, I've got to put that aside. I've got to put that somewhere where I'm not going to reach for it first thing in the morning. You know, and so you've got to find a way not only to put those habits into your life, you've got to find a way to get rid of those distractions. You know, for me, for example, I have, you know, I'm down in my office now, which is the basement of our house, and that's where I go. That's what I do. Now I'm fortunate I can do that, but I can get up, come downstairs, close the door, and I am free of anybody bothering me, of some type of distraction, of somebody coming in, and that helps. So I have found a place that I can be free of distractions, and that's what we need to do.
So what y'all are saying is everyone needs to go over and check out our video that we did on how to make a proper home office, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So it's funny you mention all that, because I mean, really, that was something that was a huge help for me. I know for a lot of people, obviously, during 2020, because everything that happened, a lot of people had to start working from home for the first time. And it was one of those things I think I got a little bit of a head start on, thanks to a guy named Jordan Pearson. He always says, clean your room, clean your room, clean your room, as kind of a good first step to becoming more disciplined in your day-to-day activity. Because I'm not sure about y'all, but I never realized how hard it was to keep my room clean until I consistently kept it clean. But, you know, it's real easy. Just put that cup of water next to your bed, get up in the morning, walk downstairs, walk back upstairs, and go, do I really need to walk back downstairs again to take that down? Okay, yes, I do. Let's go and take that down. Just building up that kind of, building up almost that snowball effect of success, finding small things that you can start succeeding at, that where you can kind of grow and feel more confident. For one, I can easily say one of the biggest hurdles I had at following almost any goal was almost that anxiety problem, right? Where you just sit down and almost freeze because you're just worrying what's going to go here, what's going to go here, what if I say this wrong? What if I say that wrong? What if I, don't type this right? There's so many other issues. But when you have a constant, time of just snowballing effect of, okay, I did this, I did this, I did this. Now I'm going to do this. Now I'm going to do this. It can really help set the stage for you to be able to then go on for more and more accomplishments that are higher and higher level. One of the things I know you mentioned a little bit on writing it down, and obviously that's important. What's some other tips that you might give, I guess, to make sure people really are able to follow through with these? Again, like you said, we all know what needs to be done half the time. I think the biggest resolution is I'm going to lose weight, which might actually be the easiest thing to know how to do. Move more, eat less. But let's face it, we all struggle with it. What's some things we can actually do to actually make sure we start focusing maybe more on what our New Year's resolutions are, and maybe what are some things we can do to start making maybe more realistic New Year's resolutions, real New Year's resolutions that aren't just kind of, at the top of our head, and more so something more focused and something actually more worth the effort.
So it's more than just deciding a spur of the moment that this is what I'm going to do. It takes time. It takes time to gain clarity of where you want to be, who you want to become, and so you have to put into work to make this work. I wish I could tell you there's a shortcut and we could do a quick video that says this is the magic bullet to creating a goal that you'll always hit, but that's just not how this works. And so you've got to put in the hard work and determine, again, with clarity, where it is you're trying to go, who it is you're trying to become, what it is you're trying to achieve, what do you want to be, do, and have, and you put the work in of truly determining what do you want. This can take a very long time. You can create a list. Zig Ziglar used to recommend you create a list of like 50 of each of those three things: be, do, and have, and then you whittle that one down to what your top ones are, and you focus on those. That takes time to gain the clarity of what you want to do. You mentioned the idea of it being real. I think the word real is probably better than realistic. Sometimes I think realistic holds us back. When you're doing this, it's real easy to fall in that trap of thinking, I'm going to set a goal because I think I can achieve the goal. And again, that's not what this is about. We set resolutions to become something, not to gain something. So even though we start that list of this is what I'd like to be or do or have, it's really not about what you get, it's about what you become. And so who do you really want to be? And then you just start in little pieces being that person. If you want to have the successful business that makes X amount of dollars at the end of the year, then you just start being that person. You start looking for a better inner circle, a stronger group of leaders with whom to hang out. You start finding ways that you can just start to prove to yourself, because every time you take one small action that is the person you want to become, you start to believe, I can really do this. And once you start to get the belief, then the faith kicks in. And again, we mentioned compounding effects. That's a big part of having it compound and really work. But the initial part is just putting in that hard work of really determining, what do I want? Not what do I think that's out of the spur of the moment because I heard somebody else say it. What do I really want? And then be courageous enough to become the person that can have it.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's the key word, is to become the person. You know, a lot of people say, I want to set this resolution to get healthy, but really, you don't want to get healthy. You want to become a healthy person. You want to be a healthy person to live that life out. And that, you know, and I think it does, Stacy, you're exactly right. It takes time to sit down and think through what do I really want to become with, you know, in my life. What kind of person do I want to be in my life? And that takes time. You know, one of the things that I do when I think about, James and I were talking about this earlier, you know, one of the things that I like to do is that the last week of the year, and I just learned this from Maxwell, I like to sit down and kind of look at my previous year and kind of evaluate that, and then I begin to think about my goals for the next year. This year I wasn't able to do that because we had family here, and I had a sister that passed away, needed to go to her funeral, and you know, Christmas, and just, you know, all that. So I'm actually in the process of doing that now, but you don't sit down and do that in 5 minutes. I'm taking the next 5-6 days to actually just take some time out of each day to sit down and really think through, what do I really want to become this next year? What do I really want to see happen in my life, and what do I need? What kind of person do I need to be to see that come about? And so it is, you know, it's like you said, I wish we could give you the magic bullet and boom, it's done. But there's work on your, if you really want to achieve a goal, to see a resolution come about, it's going to take some work on your part to do that. And then the other thing I would say do is, for example, if you say, I want to become a healthy person, then I would say, find some healthy people to get around. Yeah. People who can encourage you. You need some camaraderie. You need to get others who've been there, done that. They know more. You can learn from, and get around health. We tend to become like the people we hang around. So if you want to become a healthy person, hang around healthy people. Go to the gym. Go do what you need to do. If you want to grow, you know, to be a higher professional, a better business person. Then start getting, you know, a better leader. Then start hanging around leaders, more successful business people. Whatever it is you want to become, look for people that are already like that, because that will keep you motivated throughout the process.
Communities like this and other mastermind groups that you can join, and there's a lot of ways that you can find a group of like-minded people for whatever it is you're trying to achieve. And it is good to have the accountability. But change your language as you start to hang around the healthier people. It's not, I want to become healthier. It's, I am a healthy person. And every time your subconscious tries to tell you you're not, just acknowledge it. You know, there was a time I wasn't, but as of now, I am a healthy person. And you just start to see yourself and start to become that which you proclaim.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I have to say, you know, the whole idea of, you know, kind of like I said at the beginning, this is kind of one time of the year where we're usually a bit more honest with ourselves about kind of who we want to become, what are the things we actually want to accomplish with our lives. And I think a part of that is because this is a moment where we look back on things, right? We look back on the prior year, right? I think here's where something like journaling actually really come in handy. So journaling is something I've only done somewhat recently in the past about year or so. And I'm not saying I'm great at it. I've only, you know, once every few weeks I typically jump in and do just a few paragraphs. But one thing I have noticed is that when you're doing something like journaling especially, it makes you actually have to be somewhat more honest with yourself, right? You know, you have to sit there and really sit down and think about, what did I do this past week, this past 2 weeks, whatever your time period might be. and be as just almost like a third party to what you actually did. So one of the things we always notice is, it's much easier to give advice on something than it is for you to take that own advice a lot of times. To me, journaling has been one of those things that have helped me, at least when it comes to my goals, to actually stay more focused, because it forces me every single time I sit down to really think about where I am, what I've been doing, and which in turn make me really think about, okay, how is this really contributing to where I want to go as well?
Yeah, no, I agree. Journaling is, it really does. It helps to, if you're trying to gain clarity, through the lips and the fingertips is where it's going to come. And so if you can speak it and write it, then you start to gain that clarity. And we all have these issues. And my problem with journaling has always been, Lord knows, I hope nobody sees my journal. Well, number one, I doubt anybody could read my handwriting. But number two,
that's why
I'm always hesitant
mine.
because what if I write something dumb? But does it really matter? This is just trying to declutter your thoughts and focus in. And journaling can really help with that. And I'm a pretty new convert to this too, just simply because I guess it's an offshoot of that fear of failure. I didn't like the thought of what if I write something that's wrong or spelling is terrible, or what if there's something that somebody sees, and none of that matters. That's not the purpose of doing it. So don't let any of those silly reasons stop you from doing it. I think journaling is a great way to help you gain clarity.
So real quick, Zoom is soon going to go out for us. So what I'm going to ask you to do, we're going to be right back. We're going to take a quick 5-minute break just so we can reset our Zoom call here. In that time, if you want to put any questions in the chat, feel free to answer when we come back, and then we'll, I guess, close off maybe on what are some of our resolutions we have here as well. So we'll be back in about just 5 minutes. All right, so we are now back. So real quick, we're going to be going through a little bit maybe of some of our resolutions. I want you, while listening to this though, really think about what are your resolutions this year. What resolutions are you thinking of? And maybe, how do you plan on really making sure you really accomplish the resolutions this year, unlike maybe in years past? So again, if you're watching this after stream, still comment below to let us know kind of what some of your resolutions are. But Stacy, want to kick us off?
Sure. I've got several, and kind of like Billy said, I've got the book out, still going through some others. So I'm feverishly working on what the business goals are going to look like for 2021. But I'll stick with the theme because the ones that I've really already put some time thinking through are the more personal ones. We talked a lot about health, so I'll stick with that theme and running. And so a while back, James, I started running and had set the goal to run the marathon, and I've done quite a few of those since, but I've never broken that 4-hour mark. So my 2021 goal is to actually, I've got a coach, a new plan. So I found Mentor, I found a community that's going to help me. I'm starting small because I've been dealing with a few little calf injuries. It's harder when you get older to stay healthy. So I'm hoping the coaching is going to help with that, and looking to finish in 3 hours and 59 minutes to break the 4-hour mark in 2021. So I am a sub 4-hour marathoner. It just haven't recorded it yet.
All right, Billy, what about you?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, because of my schedule the last couple of weeks, I have not had the time that I usually take during the last week of December to sit down and think through goals and resolutions for the new year. So I'm actually in the process of doing that now. Just got back into town the other day. So I really have not set mine. So I don't want to sit here and say, well, here are my resolutions, because I'll be doing the very thing we're saying don't do. And that is just come up with a resolution off your head. So I'm actually going to be taking the next several days to sit down and think through my personal goals, goals for our church, and then also, kind of think through maybe what we want to accomplish with goals for Summit as well, for us to go over. So I'll be taking some time to look at that over the next probably 4 or 5 days, and just, again, doing the hard work of thinking through the what, the why, the how of those resolutions, so that by the end of the year, hopefully I will have accomplished all of those goals and resolutions. So that's the plan. So let me just encourage everybody, if you've not set your resolutions yet, not set your goals, hey, this is only the fifth day into the new year. You've got plenty of time to sit down and just really think through, what your goals and resolutions are, and then just kind of, write those down, put them down, and then kind of write down how you would like to accomplish those. There's still time to do that, but take the time to do the hard work to actually sit down and do that, and you'll see the difference at the end of the year.
So we both mentioned personal. Billy, do you break your personal goals down into the different roles we play in our personal lives? So like a spiritual goal, a physical goal, a family goal. Do you break them down that way?
I do. And two, I don't set a lot of goals. I mean, I don't set 50 goals. You're going to get overwhelmed. I only set 1 or 2 goals for each of those areas. And that's it, well, I'll tell you one goal, because this is a goal that I have every year, and for a spiritual goal, and that's to read the Bible through in a year, and so for my spiritual goal, that's, hey, that's one of my goals, but that's a given. I've done that every year for many years. But that's
I haven't done that in a while, but we're on the same plan. I saw which one you're using.
Okay,
so
good.
The same plan, yeah.
Yeah, good. And so, let me encourage everybody else. Don't set 15, 20 resolutions because you're going to get overwhelmed. Limit it to 3, 5, keep it manageable so that you're not overwhelmed and give up on all of them. Just do those goals that just are absolutely most important to you, and that will help you in the long run.
Right. And I guess, and that's a good point right there. Of course, it's never too late to actually set these. And it's funny. I think I ran into someone one time last year in February, and someone at work was asking, like, so what was your New Year's resolution? I went, I didn't really have one. I was kind of thinking of one, but, I'll put off till next year. But yeah, I think for myself, like, it's funny. You mentioned personal and business, kind of separating those over there at least. I kind of have, I guess I have 3 set and kind of a 4th one I'm still trying to work on a little bit. And I always want to keep it under 5, because like you say, I don't want to be overwhelmed with any of them. So last year I did manage to read right around 25 books. I think I hit like a little bit over that for amount of books I went through. I set a goal of 24, so I'd be 2 a month, and I want to say like 26, 27 in. This year, I do want to set a goal of 50 books in a year. I'm not sure how I'm going to find the time yet. I have a sort of spaced out now currently of how I'm reading through them, but I'm really trying for that 50 book in a year mark. I am a slow reader.
It should be your goal and not anybody else's. I said it should be yours and not anybody else's, but just add 2, man. That'll be 1 a week. Make it 52.
I'm about to say, I'm a slow reader, okay? It takes me a long time to get through books. However, I've started getting a bit faster, thank goodness. But, I'm really trying to get 50 books in a year. Another thing is kind of more personal. I want to get a 500-pound deadlift. I really like deadlifting. I want to get a 500-pound deadlift. I've always wanted to do it, so it's something I want to hit this year.
You don't want to get it. You are a 500-pound deadlifter. You just have
There you go.
There we go. There we go. I have it in me. I just got to do it. But
that's right.
And the third one is, right now, there's this YouTube channel. I have another one I also kind of work a little bit on, but I want both of these YouTube channels to be over or right at the 10,000 mark at the end of the year. And it sounds crazy with where we're at now, but the fact is, things snowball quickly. Once you start getting one success, it'll lead to another, lead to another, lead to another. And so I truly believe that this channel in particular has the potential to get 10,000 subscribers in a year on YouTube, which means if you do want to help me reach my New Year's resolution, go ahead and subscribe. It's a great way of helping me out here. And the 4th one is one a bit more personal to me. So I have always been someone who is, I'm religious, but I've never been, I don't really consider myself a good Christian sometimes because I don't really do everything like I should, and I know that. But I want to get into a habit of praying more. Something I started a little bit, right around the time I was about to get married, I started actually, praying a little bit here and there, just, for some guidance and things like that. And now that we're about to have a kid on the way as well, I started doing a little bit more of that. And it's amazing of, you talk about, reaching out, stage of clarity. It's amazing what prayer can really do. And so I haven't set, I guess, a firm stat on how much I plan on praying. But I am kind of working on kind of maybe how much of that's going to be, because I do want to do that more. I've really seen a major change in myself through it, and it's something I do want to keep on continuing. But besides that, is there anything else y'all want to close on at all?
No, I think we pretty much hit it all from my standpoint. Just, you said it's never too late to set the goals, and then remember it's never too early to start. So
Yeah.
There's not a perfect time, there's not a perfect situation. You can't wait for the kids to do this or for your job to do that. Once you decide what it is I want, start immediately. It's not, don't even wait till tomorrow. Just do something right away, because each and every step you take, you start again to see yourself a little bit differently, and you start to believe you can really do it. So never too early to start. You start right away.
Yeah, and I would just echo that. I would just say, if you wait till things are perfect, you will never get started. So just, as the old slogan, Nike slogan says, just do it. Get started. And then the compound effect will begin.
I think that's fantastic. Well, again, for everyone out there, if you're looking for kind of a community that might be able to help you hopefully reach some of your New Year's resolutions, please, of course, share this video out to other people. Be a real part of our community. We are hopefully having, or not hopefully, actually, we are going to be having a website out really shortly here. So the website will be out soon. We are really excited for that. We'll definitely be making another video when that's fully released and done. So we're really excited about some of the stuff we plan on offering there as well. Don't forget, of course, our YouTube page as well. Go ahead, like, subscribe to the videos we got on there. We have a lot more coming out on there as well. And we are looking forward to seeing more of y'all shortly.
See you guys.
Bye.